Alright, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob at Smirking Gun Reviews. This is, again, vacation day number 2. This is video number 2 that I've done on my vacation. We're back with more Expanse. It is the Expanse Season 2, Episode 11, Here There Be Dragons. Couldn't help myself there. That was really cheesy. Sorry about that. So, full spoilers if you haven't seen the episode. This is a bigger episode than last one. Like I said, I was sure that they were setting up for something. Like I was a little disappointed in last episode's anticlimactic meeting between Christian and Bobby. But I still think that what happens here, at least with the whole embassy thing, like the beginning of that, should have been in the last episode. But whatever, it's still good. It makes this episode even better. So let's get right into it. All right. So, there's a lot to talk about. So, through a series of flashbacks, we see Dr. Strickland leading May through the old part of the station on Ganymede, to eventually where they're going. And, I don't know, when she's like, I want to see my daddy, and he's just like pointing out plants and like to distract her. I mean, he should have just been jiggling keys, because that really, I mean, the kid's old enough to not be, as soon as he's done, point out plants and picks her up, I'd still be like, where's my dad? I want to go back to my dad. We just talked about some plants for a couple of seconds. You didn't distract me that much. But whatever. I was asked to talk about the writing and the visuals of the show. I have in the past talked about how great the visuals are and the writing is. The first season and through episode 5, the writing has been really, really good. I really liked it, not just on dialogue, but just the way they're telling the story was really good, and the visuals were fantastic. Jumping off from episode 6 onward of season 2, the visuals are still stunning and great. I love, the maps, like especially in this episode where Alex has the map and everything, and just all that is really, really good still. The writing, on the other hand, like, the dialogue is all still really good. The story has dipped a little bit more cliche to where, and I'll point those out to you. It doesn't take away really from the show, but as far as like realism, it has dipped just this much. Just because of the cliches that are kind of in here. Like I said, I'll point them out when I see them. And I'm just being honest, because the dialogue in this is still really good. It gets even better as the episode goes along. And there are story elements that are really good. So, anyway. So, we get Bobby. She's back at in her room. She's getting reamed out. And just to get to the meat of this episode, this guy's telling her what's what and telling her, she's disgraced and all this other crap, and talking about the story their dad told him about her picking him up and carrying him. So when she asks for a meeting, it's great that she just goes in there and just fucks this guy's world up. Oh, you're screwed down. It's like she's past the point of caring. She just wants the truth from her own people that are supposed to give a crap. And this whole thing about talking about her generation and stuff made me think about, like the way things were done in the Cold War. And how they did all this stuff and nothing happened. There was no wars. And yeah, they talk about how they prevented all this stuff from happening. Like the Cuban Missile Crisis was, I feel like the closest thing. But that people all became a certain way because of the way that was. And this is the same thing, this Cold War that they have going on with Earth and Mars. And how everybody got hard, and did things tough, and would toughen you up. And then nothing really, you're still going, but nothing is really happening. And now that things are happening, you want people, but now you're the way you're going about it, they're lying. They're doing things to like almost force the war. And so what choice does she have but to turn on her own people? They don't care. They just want this weapon so that Earth, so that they can have something to fight Earth with. That's not keeping the peace. That's trying to start a war, or at least if there is a war, one that they can guarantee to win. Now, it's not like that's not something that governments don't do all the time. This government does it all the time. But it was nice to see that, she finally just stomped this dude who needed a bitch slap like a few episodes ago. And it was great, how she just bails, and that shot of her running across the different lines between Mars and the UN was great, and just slide into a stop. I want a political asylum. See, that's where I think last episode should have ended. But, because that would have been great, just like that big dramatic moment. But I digress. So now we have her and Christian talking. I love that, when she's talking, she's like, what the fuck are you looking at? Because she's just had it. She's had it. She's hit her limit. She's done putting up with other people's shit. And that's great. And so this whole thing with Christian talking about, and her talking, this is the conversation they needed to have last episode. But again, stretch out the plot a little bit, stretch out the drama. So they take the information that she got from her boss away. And then right after this, because they're going to give her a debrief. And was anybody else wondering if the guy behind her was about to shoot her? Because he just kept looking like he was reaching for his gun. And I was like, is Christian about to just kill her? Like, it bothered me that the guy in the background seemed to be doing this with his sidearm a little bit. But then Jules Pierre Mao calls. And instead of what they thought, like they were trying to come to terms with this guy for amnesty. And instead, what happens, here, Ann, 1 second, okay? All right, sorry about that. So Christian gets the call from Jules Pierre Mao. And yeah, they tried to offer him amnesty, but he's really there to ask them for demands, which is so ballsy. This guy was great on Lost as Miles' dad, the guy in all the Dharma videos. And in this, it's just, again, he's like, you're going to stop, putting this embargo basically, on our finances and stuff, because this guy, he's basically telling them what's what. And I think that's just, okay, she's not going to have any of this, really. I mean, she's going to have a talk with him because, yeah, the guy's like, it doesn't make sense that it's a trap, so it's probably a trap. And she's already agreed to meet with him. So that's going to be a thing coming up. And that'll be really interesting. So we also have the thing with Aaron Wright, which was a little disappointing to hear. I thought he was going to have a little bit more to do. But now it sounds like everybody already knows about him. There are these, this trial basically, this series of meetings that they're going to have about what went on. And it looks like because Mao's not there to take the blame, they're going to put it on Aaron Wright. And so Christian just tells him that this is where he needs to come clean, admit what happened, explain to everybody, all the details of this and about Mao. So it was a little disappointing to hear that that's basically become his role. Now, whether or not he's going to follow that, I think it will be interesting, because as soon as Mao broke ties with him, I thought Aaron Wright's about to, becomes kind of a wild card in this. So we'll see how he takes this. He could just decide to fuck up Mao like himself. Now, getting to Ganymede, I loved the whole thing with Alex on the moon. This was where the writing was good, or I loved how he did the whole trajectory thing to figure out how to get down there. That was really, really cool, really interesting way to do it, especially the execution of it with how he took out the ship's engines and just did everything by thrusters, and his whole kind of conversation where he's starting him and the ship are kind of like, he's calling it we, which comes up later on. The whole thing where he has to back off from the Mars ship and just him talking to himself, but he's talking to the ship, was all really, really well done. Now on Ganymede, as they finally get to where they need to get to, here's where the writing, some of the cliched stuff started coming in with stuff about, that Nagata was saying about to Prax about, I had a kid and all this stuff. And I just kind of felt like it was a little, I don't know, just better. This show's better than that with that kind of stuff. But if you like it, that's fine. I'm not saying it's bad writing. It just, again, I feel like that's what other shows do. And this show usually doesn't go that route. And then when Amos gives Prax a gun, was there any other way this was going to go? You don't give the emotional father a gun. Again, this show is better than that. They make smarter decisions than this on this show. And, having to show him the safety. And, when he's walking up to the door, everybody else has got their guns low. Now, you could say it's because he's never used a gun before, but I think it's because he's just ready to fire. Okay, so this guy shouldn't have a gun. But the way they wanted this story to go, they wrote it in that he was going to be the one to instigate this. So it's cool that they get in there and you get some soldiers and that doctor, the lady doctor, and it's a great standoff. It's all silent. They didn't know they were coming. It's really cool and tense. And I actually thought that Prax was just going to shoot the doctor. But, as soon as he sees the book bag, the backpack, you knew somebody's getting shot and this whole place is going to turn into the fucking, Wild Bunch. So, or Inglourious Bastards, the scene in the bar. Pow, pow, pow. Everybody's just going to start shooting. And that's exactly what happens. And the doctor gets away. And then Amos takes one in the wing. Why am I the one always getting shot? That's another good line, and it comes up again, which is another good callback. Not all callbacks are good, but this show tends to do it good. Kind of like when Miller shoots the guy in the head, when they were trying to get away, and it was the same guy who harpooned his partner. Like those kind of callbacks that this show does really well. So this is where he finds a kid in like a little chamber, like to keep it like I don't know if it's alive or not. The proto-molecule is alive. If the kid's alive, I don't know. It's in some kind of stasis, and it's not May. And Holden says, well, we came here to kill this thing, so we're killing it. Now, this is where you also see that they've been experimenting on kids with the proto-molecule. They've been putting it in them, and that's probably what we saw on Ganymede, was like the final product of what they've been putting into people. And we'll get into more of my theory about this in a minute. So they fry that thing, and then somebody throws a grenade into the room. And normally I didn't expect, I actually thought, okay, this was going to be like something to knock them out or whatever. But I love Amos's reflexes to throw it back out the door, which was fantastic. And then you don't get to see what's happening on the other side. And all this noise and all these, everything happening. And I kind of thought we were going to have one of those moments where the door opens and it's somebody that they liked standing there that they didn't expect to see standing there. But we don't get that. Instead, they go in there and we see that they had one of those things, I assume one of the children, because they talk about that story about the butterfly in the cocoon, and he's telling this to May, which was foreshadowing that, he cut it open and the butterfly had to struggle to get out, and then it would be able to fly. And he's talking about making her fly eventually, which leads me to believe that whatever that thing was, it was probably at one time May. And so it took out all of the people that were holding it, because that tank had it was like anesthetic to keep it like calm. And then once it got loose and killed all of them, it ripped its way out of the airlock, which means it's one strong son of a bitch. This is where we get another person that shows up, and this was just like what I was talking about. So instead, it's like it messes with your expectations. So at the top of the door, when you think they're going to get a visitor that and don't expect to see. Instead, you get the scene of carnage, but we still get the scene of somebody we didn't expect to see, just not in that same way or at the same time. It's in the same room, but it happens later in a time that you don't expect it, where Alex suddenly shows up and and Amos and him have their moment of, I could kiss you on the lips right now, and then Alex going, why are you always getting shot? And then boom, callback. So the writing again on that was fantastic. What I don't like here is the team deciding to split up. I really don't like this. Initially, however they decide to tell the story, I'm sure that they're better as a team. It was one thing if Nagata was going to leave. I didn't like that. Okay? I really didn't like it. I don't even like her explanation. To be honest with you, the whole, we need to save all these people, that she feeling bad with what happened on the weeping somnambulist. Fine, feel bad. But right now, the important thing is stopping this thing. Getting all these people off. There is time to tell them, like, I don't know. I just don't know why why she suddenly wants it to be her job to do it. And then you take Amos with you? Fuck off. I don't like that at all. Again, like I said, this maybe the way that they handle it after the fact could be, could change my mind. But I don't like the team splitting up, and I don't like Amos not going with Holden and Alex. If a Nagata wants to leave, then fine, leave, but don't take Amos with you. Okay? Just that bugged me. Because I do like Amos and Holden's relationship. Like in the very beginning when they're talking about beating up that guy, and Amos calling Holden out like, yeah, well, I think I just beat you to the punch. And he's right, because Holden confirms it. He's like, yeah, well, in this thing what we were doing, I don't mind beating the hell out of some asshole. So, to get what we need. So he's right. So I like their dynamic a lot that's been building. The same with Amos and Alex. And so those three, and Nagata as well, they're a great team. So splitting up the team, I feel like, is poor decision. I just, maybe it's Nagata's feelings. I guess they kind of make sense, but to me, it just, not enough to split up the team. So then we see Alex finds the proto-molecule experiment out there. We don't really get a great look at it, but when he's like, I think that thing's looking at us. And then Holden's like, we're going on a hunt. And you're telling me that this is the right time, when you absolutely need Amos with you. You need something killed, right? Why are you sending your best killer with Nagata? Alex isn't a fighter. He's a pilot. I mean, Prax, and Prax is not a fighter. He's going off to, probably, have to face maybe killing his kid. Now, for dramatic purposes, fine, I get that, but that's forced drama to me. You need your best team. The show, again, would make a better decision than that. Alex should be going with Nagata. But see, I guess they need a pilot to get off the ship. So it's like they've written themselves in this, I don't know. It's still a fantastic episode. We get Dr. Janice and Dr. Itria finally getting a probe down into the crater, where we get to see that the protomolecule is alive and well down there on Venus. So there's that. So we're amped up. We only got 2 episodes left. I'm sorry if I've missed anything in here that would be big, but go ahead and call me out on the comment section. But if you liked this video, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications. Like I said, check out all my other content. We got a whole bunch of it coming today. I'm going to be reviewing a whole bunch of stuff this week. A whole bunch. So this is Robert Smirking Gun Reviews saying we will be back with another episode of The Expanse sometime today. We're probably going to finish Season 2 today. So expect the next 2 episodes at some point today. So this is Rob saying have a great day. We'll see you in the next video. Bye. If I can turn